What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Clean Libertarian Podcast. And guys, today, right now, it is March 20th, 2021. This has been the happiest day I've had in a while. Not because of any, well, there's a couple of things, right? We'll go into the first one. This is a personal accomplishment. I don't know if you guys remember for the last couple episodes, I've talked about, I'm doing the keto thing. I'm working out, I'm working my ass off. I'm a big guy. I'm a fat dude. I let that burrito wagon at work wear me out, dude. I put a couple of their kids through college, I'm pretty sure. But I'm down. I'm losing weight. Like, I'm doing really good. Let's see. When I started, I was 316. That's embarrassing to talk about. Like, that is way too big for me. Like, that is, I do not have a 316 frame. Let's just say that. But just a little bit ago, the wife and I went out. We got some kayaks. We went kayaking. And I weighed myself. I am down to 288. That's like, I don't know. That's at least a few more than 25. I think 28 pounds. I'm down. Math is not my strong suit, but I'm happy. Like, I'm doing this thing, man. I'm actually like, I'm in it. Like, I'm watching my calorie intake. I'm working out. Like, I'm drinking lots and lots of water. I don't know, man. I feel better. I feel good. So there's a cause for celebration right there for me. That's part of why today is a happy day. But the other part, are you ready? Nick Sarwark, the jackass, the one and only Fed boy of the Libertarian Party. The New Hampshire Libertarian Party had their elections today to determine their officers. And Nick was running for treasurer against nobody, mind you. Nobody at all. Nobody was eligible to run against them, which, if you've been involved with affiliates, you understand that there's bylaws and yada, yada, yada. Nick lost to NOTA, the abbreviation for none of the above. Nick literally lost to the option of nobody else. Holy shit. That is just beautiful. I'm sorry, man. There was if you've followed Libertarian Party happenings, like, you've seen this shit show that Sarwark created. But I'm here to tell you there was just as much happening behind the scenes that nobody really ever heard of that makes this dude a weasel and an absolute slime ball. Maybe at one point he was good. My tenure with the Libertarian Party is relatively new. So, my time started, late 17, early 18, which apparently that guy got elected into that chair position for quite a while, but oh, how the mighty have fallen, and you love to see it. Ugh, man, good job, New Hampshire Libertarian Party, specifically to the New Hampshire Mises Caucus, because that was one affiliate that had their heels dug in for the Lawbertarians, for the blue-pilled, shitty libertarians. And you guys got to them, man. You guys took it over. There's a shot we might actually make this whole Libertarian Party messaging thing work out. You'll love to see it. Anyway, I had to spend at least a little bit of time and gloat on that. So there it is. Funny stuff. Moving in to the episode that we had today. If you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, you may remember back when I first started, like, I was still doing episodes in my car on my cell phone. Like, I didn't have a microphone. I wasn't doing any editing in post or, running it through Audacity and all of that other good stuff. My buddy Aaron came on and talked about the 2A and had the opportunity to bring him back on again today. And I don't know. I think, like, beforehand, in the platform that I use, we have a little green room and you can talk before I hit the record button. We had a whole game plan set up, and we 100% didn't stick to that at all. We just kind of had a conversation, and I enjoyed it. And I think you might enjoy it as well. Aaron knows a lot about the 2A. I know some, but I don't know everything. Like, as you know, I'm a felon. As you know, that I can't possess a firearm. I can't go out shooting and doing all the fun things. But I know that when the time comes that I'm able to do that, I guarantee you Aaron's going to be the first one taking me up to the shooting gallery. Not, what do you call it? Gun range? Yeah, shooting gallery is another thing. Anyway, just disregard what I said there. But Aaron's a good dude. And a very close friend of mine, and we had a great conversation. And I hope that you guys enjoy it. So without further ado, before I fuck this up anymore, here is Aaron Kinney. All right, and I am here once again with the always wonderful Aaron Kinney. Aaron, thanks for joining me, buddy. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, Hunt. It's always a pleasure to have close personal friends of mine on, especially somebody that knows a shitload more about the topic than I do. And for those of you guys who have stuck with the podcast for a while, you'll remember Aaron. I can't remember the episode number, but it was one of my first ones. It's back when I was doing this shit in my car.
Yeah.
We sat in my car and recorded that one.
Well, we did, but then something fucked up. So then we had to re-record it.
Oh, yeah.
You were still working some kinks out, man. You've come a long way since that one.
Yeah, I have,
legit, man. Legit.
Coming on up, you know?
Mm.
So for those of you who don't know Aaron is a friend of mine, very good friend. We go back quite a ways. And he's also somebody that is in recovery, doing this recovery thing.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you guys out there who are doing that. But Aaron was on before to talk about the 2A, and that's what he's going to do again today.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, what do you got to lay on us there, buddy?
So I guess the one that's been bugging me kind of lately, and it spurred me to write an article on it, is that earlier this month, right, at CPAC, we saw Wayne LaPierre get up in front of like the future of conservatism and basically tell everybody that the dirty little secret the Democrats aren't telling you is that if they enforce the current gun laws, then we will have no gun crime, right? And it's like, number one, people still just by default send their money to the NRA. I mean, millions of dollars a year, you know? And so when you see stuff like that, like I already knew they were a corrupt trash organization, you know, but then they're so blatant about it. And so here's the problem with that. Like for those of you that know guns, then you understand that the current gun laws are fucking ridiculous. All gun laws are an infringement, period, you know, but like the stuff like, so my AR quote unquote pistol that has a brace on it, you know, they can flip it any second and decide that that's actually a rifle. And now I owe 10 years in prison and 250 grand, you know, the same laws. Like he's telling people to enforce the same laws that in California, if you have a magazine of 11 or more rounds, you're going to prison. Your property is getting confiscated and you will lose your rights, you know? So to see him stand up in front of like, it was fucking sickening, to be honest with you. And what it does is it shows like how off base and out of touch the NRA is. And then like I looked into it, right? And you come to find out that the NRA has supported every major federal gun legislation since the NFA was invented in 32, you know?
Yeah.
Where they're on record in their own magazine in like the 60s, their VP talking, basically bragging, because they got accused of not being in support of gun control like before the 68 Federal Firearms Act. And they went on record talking about, no, we've supported every major gun control act since our inception, and how, you know, we support more regulations on ammunition and background checks and all this shit, right? And then even later in the 90s, Wayne LaPierre, post the assault weapons ban, went to like in front of a committee and said the same thing. Like they've always supported workable, what they call common sense, workable gun control, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, and if you look a little bit, like you'll know, the shitty part is that like in conversation, when gun rights comes up, it's the NRA is the default organization people think of, you know? And on top of that, they're like they're quote unquote the cultural leader within the conservative movement on like what's acceptable for the Second Amendment, what we should be fighting for. They basically led the charge to allow bump stocks to be banned by executive order, which set the precedent of not only allowing the ATF to regulate accessories, you know, but then also allowing regulation by executive order by the president, you know, which are two incredibly dangerous precedents to set. And I have a feeling like FPC's taking them to court over it right now, which they're doing God's work, you know. But I have a feeling that we're gonna feel that here pretty soon, like the after effects of that, where they can really start, you know, using these tyrannical executive orders to just do whatever they want. I mean, right now we're seeing them go after 80% lowers and polymer 80 kits. And are you familiar with what solvent traps are?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're going after a pretty predominant solvent trap shop. So now that they went ahead and regulated bump stocks and decided that they could enforce those laws, now it gives them the green light to basically enforce any accessory of a firearm. It may be vertical foregrips next. You know, they just decide, oh, that makes your gun a machine gun. You know, that's how crazy it is. But anyway, the NRA is just and the part of the narrative I've seen like lately in the gun community after that happened is like, oh, they're just supporting their, you know, their corporate donors. They're making sure they take care of their corporate donors. Well, the NRA gets 90% of its donations from single donors, and the average donation to them is only $35. You know, so that is like legitimately a grassroots organization. You know, and they're still just great at compromising and basically bending over. You know.
Yeah, and it seems like the NRA is kind of like that organization that not only, you know, that they act like they're all big and bad, but in reality, it's almost like they're a front for further gun control legislation. Like they know that the massive, you know, amount of people in this country who own firearms, who, you know, the FUD class, they're not going to go along with anything, you know, a guy with the D next to his name says. But if they can say, look, guys, we're going to have to compromise on this one. We're going to have to meet them at the table. You know, it's almost like that's how they're able to usher this shit in. And it's very deceptive, but it also, you know, you would think that after so many times of it happening and continuously, you know, drawing a line of sand and saying, okay, no further, and then moving back incrementally over decades. I mean, this isn't anything new. I mean, this shit's been going on. You would think that these people would open their eyes to it, but nah, man. There's a lot of cats out there who are like, I'm pro 2A, but you know, and that's kind of the thing. So and you raised this point. Both of us raised this point when Trump was doing the executive orders. Dude, it was like I told every redhead I knew, like, just you fucking wait, man.
Yep.
Just you fucking wait, because everything this dude's doing right now, it's gonna 100% come back. And yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, you know the Republican MO, man. As long as they have their dictator, they'll bend over and take it too. You know, as soon as Trump signed that executive order, the majority of Republican gun owners were like, yeah, we don't use that. We don't need that. There's only 30,000 of them in the wild. You know, we only made 30,000 of our fellow community members fucking felons overnight, you know, but as long as it's their dictator, then they're happy to bend over for it, dude. No, you're right. And I still see arguments like on Twitter and stuff of people talking about they were just bump stocks. It's like, no, it's not. It's the process in which it was handled. And you do not want any agency to have that power, you know? Like, we know ultimately if they want to regulate something, the powers that be, you know, they will get it done. But if the agency can't just do it by executive order and decree, then at least it takes them some years to get there. And we can, you know, fight it in our own way, whether that means coming out with another workaround in the market, 3D printing files, or FPC taking them to court over it, and at least slowing up the process that way, you know. But there's a way we can fight it when the process is slow. When they just come down with the axe out of nowhere and make a shit ton of us felons, it's really hard to find a recourse for that. You know, the latest one, I think I text you uh, the end of last year when they were trying to, you know, turn the braces into stocks and make everyone with an AR pistol a felon. And that's like 4 to 6 million Americans overnight, you know, with no amnesty period. So that's just the next step, you know. Wait till it's assault weapons.
Man, not digging that idea at all. You know,
Yeah.
here's the
Yeah.
thing, you know, for those of you guys, some of y'all might know, but like I'm currently undergoing the process of getting a governor's pardon here in Oklahoma. If you are a nonviolent felon, you are able to apply for a pardon after, you know, X amount of time since your sentence. And that's that's an avenue to get your gun rights back. And I applied for that 6 months ago. And the time since I put that paperwork in, I have watched the gun market go bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Bananas. I'm talking no ammo on the shelf. Cause I go to, you know, I go to Academy, I go
Mm-hmm.
to Bass Pro, I go to all these places, man. And I always peruse, always look around. Shit. Let me tell you this. When I first turned in that application, Walmart in here in my hometown was still selling ammunition, but not anymore. Right? Like that's how much this whole scene has changed. The market has changed. And I am now in a position where I'm concerned, genuinely concerned, that if and when this pardon goes through, there'll even be a market left to pick from. But I do have a 3D printer. I guarantee goddamn to you that I got one of them. So I'm not to the ATF and FBI agents who, you know, may or may not be listening to this. I do not print anything I'm not supposed to print.
I've only seen Star Wars figurines, so
straight up Star Wars for days, son.
Yep.
For days. Tons of it. But no, you know, that is an interesting thing that I've been seeing coming about. And you know, the beautiful part of it is like they're figuring out how to do every single thing. They got a guy right now, he's working on a 50 caliber pistol that uses a 9-volt battery as a primer.
Oh, that's legit.
Dude, there's no primer cap. The cartridges are literally 3D printed cartridges that is a 50 caliber, you know, head, you know, bullet and black powder. And he uses a 9-volt battery and some wires and steel wool. That's the ignition.
The market provides, baby.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, how you going to fucking stop that? You can't. You cannot physically stop shit like that. Like you can't. Oh, what are you going to do? Stop selling 50 caliber bullets? Dude, you can make a mold and make that shit easy. Easy peasy, Jack.
So I saw pretty recently, well, I say a few months ago, where I saw that Control Pew and those guys were talking about working on 3D printed ammunition. And I think they've dropped some some files that relate to that, but I haven't explored it really. Man, once we figure that piece out of it, there really isn't, you know, like Control Pew says, man, you can't stop the signal, you know. And they even, so now, and I've been looking into, because it kind of fits with like my professional background, is they have this little ready-made mini CNC machine that you can get. It's like $2,000. It comes with the software and all the files you need, where you can take from a straight block of 70-75 aluminum with certain dimensions, you know, like a 3x2x6 or whatever, and make an AR receiver out of it. You know, just plug it in and let it go. You know, so we have the metal work. I know there's the EDM barrels, the electro, whatever it is they're doing to make the rifling barrels. Yes, exactly. You know, just and it'll, just like every other industry, you know, the more popular it gets, the more it's going to snowball. And pretty soon, I'm not going to say your local gun dealer will be out of business, but it will not be a necessity to go through them. You know,
Yeah.
they're even already it's kind of like that, but I think it's going to get pretty widespread within the gun community.
I do too. I think that that's going to start picking up. And I think that the FUDs as we know them currently are going to start swinging back the other direction, at least for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
They'll be chummy to the talk of, going against the law books on 2A permissions, be looking for that shit to change the second a Red Hat gets in office.
Yep.
But there's give and take. About the only thing that they can do, but the only move that they have right now, because they're not, what are you going to do? Confiscate? Come on, please. That's going to be no, that's civil war.
Yeah.
But what I do see them doing, and they've been doing it for a long time, is increasing the label of felon and having it cover more and more shit.
Yeah. That is it's a backdoor way. And I don't think it's just about the guns. I think that's about us being a slave to the state,
Yeah.
I think that's more what it's about, but not having access to legal firearms is a product of that. And then, even if they made all my shit legal tomorrow, I'm not turning any of them in, period, and if the Fed boys come for my house, I'm not going to say anything on here. In Minecraft, if the Fed boys come for my house,
send bachelors.
They better have level 4 plates,
Right. Right.
No, but legit, like, I don't, I know what you're saying there, what you were saying there. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're good.
But the states' rights, the massive movement of states' rights right now that we're having, the nullification, this quote unquote resistance, like you said, because the Democrat is in the White House, does control the Senate and the House, so we're seeing these Republican state legislators that are really pushing these 2A sanctuaries and some form of nullification on a lot of things. I know it's crazy actually that the talk of if felons are in free society, this talking point comes up a lot in like mainstream conservatism. And then even like I heard Tim Pool talking about it the other night, where if a felon is deemed safe enough to be in society with other non-violent people, then they should be safe enough to have their rights back, And I'm hearing like mainstream conservatives talking about that, which means that we're going in the right direction somewhere,
There's a bill currently in the Oklahoma House. Granted, it doesn't do me a bit of fucking good because I had a suspended sentence. It still says, 5 years after a suspended sentence or a sentence ends, a nonviolent felon is able to get their gun rights back automatically. Yeah. It hasn't passed yet. Obviously we'll see if it does, but just even that, man, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's an awesome thing. Like, what I'm furious about, what I'm pissed about, is all these people are like, man, Trump was 2A, Trump was this and that. See, you should have voted for Trump. It's like, motherfucker, what was one thing he did? Name one single part of the 2A that he strengthened. Oh, well, he elected the judge. Really? Really? The judge, go fuck yourself. Which one? The guy who said the Fourth Amendment could be shit on with the Patriot Act? Mm-hmm. That one or the other weird chick with the 20 million kids?
Or or the ones that won't see any Second Amendment cases, haven't seen any Second Amendment cases.
Correct.
Correct. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, he had a super majority for the first 2 years of his presidency, and all he did was, like I said, legislate by executive order the bump stocks, and then he killed, after the Vegas shooting, he gets on a 60 Minutes interview. And he's talking, and the lady, whoever's interviewing him, asks him about, what do you think about silencers? And he's, I don't like them. It's the same interview where he said, take the guns first, due process later.
Yeah.
Dude. He's never been pro Second Amendment. And I don't even like, I'm just refusing to buy into that duopoly anymore too. Just because the Dems are terrible on something doesn't mean the Republicans are good on it.
Right.
I think they expect you to fall in, and it's the reason why every 4 years the Republicans will talk about your gun rights and then fucking forget about you the second they get elected.
Straight up, man.
The Republicans treat the gun community the same way the Democrats treat the minority communities. They whisper those sweet nothings, try to coerce the vote, and then as soon as they get elected, they forget all about you.
Fucking drop you up until campaign season, and then all of a sudden they know you all over again.
Yep.
But and so like let's bring it home. We're both here in Oklahoma, and the prevailing Second Amendment organization out here is OK2A.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of y'all who don't know, OK2A is pretty much FUD Central. I mean, it is exactly FUD Central.
NRA Junior.
Straight up, dude. It's headed up by a guy named Don Spencer. And this man is surrounded by an ocean of sycophants. Like he's got nothing but a straight up cult backing him. Granted, they did some work and helped us get constitutional carry.
Yes.
And the time before and after that, they don't talk about fucking guns. They talk about how trannies are a problem. Abortion, drugs. We got to get rid of this shit.
Keep ICE in our prisons.
Yes. Yeah.
Like what the fuck? Like
fucking crazy shit, dude.
Because I'm on there. I donated to them like basically retroactively after I kind of looked into how our local Second Amendment or how our local constitutional carry got passed, and GOA partnered with them to help get it through somehow. I don't know the details beyond that. So I donated them some money, and that put me on their mailer list. But and I stay on it because it's a good update on where the legislation is. I'll give them that. They have a good alert system, but every other email is some neocon agenda bullshit, and then like I went in, they have a spreadsheet of like quote unquote freedom bills that they're trying to get through.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 of them have nothing to do with guns, or self-defense. I mean, because I'll cut them a pass. They said that if your car is surrounded by rioters, then you have a right to drive out of there, in self-defense or whatever like that. That's whatever, it's self-defense related. But other than that, man, like I don't give a fuck about ICE. I don't care about keeping churches open. Like I care about that on a liberty level,
Right.
And just a basic human rights level. But as far as if I'm spending my money with a 2A organization, I expect them to use that money to advocate for the Second Amendment. If I wanted a freedom organization, I can think of a lot better ones than that one, So
that leads me on to the next point. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Aaron. Aaron here is considering, or he's doing the work. He's doing some research and it's starting up a new 2A organization out here in Oklahoma.
I don't know if I'm starting it yet.
Yeah, you are. You are.
I'm still working on this stuff. I don't know because I have the blog and I'm going to start the podcast.
Yeah.
But I am doing the research and doing the networking and seeing what kind of stuff it would entail. I'm not committing. I don't want to commit to it yet though. It's a lot of time, man.
Well, thank you for your service for saying that you're going to commit to that and do that. I appreciate it. I've been waiting for somebody like you to come along and do something like that. That's amazing. It's beautiful. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. But no, I hope it gets done. If nothing else, the conversation has been started.
Yeah.
Aaron recently joined the OKLP. He's come on board and he's helping us out, and we have had an influx of people here recently, which is great, man. It's awesome to see that type of activity going on finally. But there's a real possibility that we could see something like that. And what I'm talking about, like what the type of 2A organization I'm talking about is the ones who do a sit-in on the local ATF branch's parking lot. Yeah. I'm talking about the 2A organization that is absolutely hostile, not violent, hostile though, like in your face. Hey, unapologetically 2A. That's what we need. That's what I want to see, because we do have an opportunity. We have an opportunity here in Oklahoma, and there's other states out there that are like that as well. You know, Missouri's doing some big things right now, big things. There's another state. What was the other state that just passed some badass laws? Or not passed a new law, but
no. There's another one that's working to. It's not. I can't remember. Right. I think I want to say Iowa, but I'm not sure. But they're working for basically complete nullification of all federal gun laws.
Beautiful. You know? That's what we need to see, man.
It is. We look. Our Overton window has shifted so fucking far that we are fighting. We are giving money to organizations that are fighting for our rights to keep braces or to clearly identify what a brace is, instead of fighting to completely nullify the NFA. You know, we have been pushed so far to the point where we don't even understand what a true Second Amendment looks like anymore. There's no state that has a true Second Amendment, you know?
No, there's not.
No.
There's not. Yeah. It's fucking sad too, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, we got ourselves into this spot. We can get ourselves out of it. And whether that's through the legislative process or whether it's through just straight up rebellion, you know, people are going to do what they're going to do. And I'm just glad to see that there's still some fight left in this country. I'm glad to see that there's still that rebellious go fuck yourself to authority spirit.
Yeah.
That's, you know, becoming seemingly more popular, you know, by the day.
Yeah.
You know, you got actual legislators right now talking about trying to ban peer-to-peer sharing, file sharing. Dude, good luck. Good luck. Fucking good luck, man.
It's so moronic, you know.
It's so dumb, dude.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
It's like the government's going to waste our money anyway, so at least they're doing it in basically a big circle jerk, you know?
Yeah.
Like not getting anything actually done. They could be using our money to do a lot worse shit than ban that, so.
Oh, absolutely they could.
Yeah.
Absolutely they could. But I mean, really, who do we have to be afraid of right now? The guy fell down the stairs 3 times going into Air Force One. Well, while we do laugh, and it was funny, it's, you know, the dude's an asshole. He's done some atrocious things, but man, I'm going to kind of sideline this conversation, take it in a different direction for just a second. But it's kind of sad watching it, right? Like it's dude, it's Weekend at Bernie's. Like the dude is deteriorating in front of the entire nation. And it's like, fuck, man. I don't know. It's sad.
So my grandpa, my great grandpa passed away from dementia, but onset through Alzheimer's, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like the last 3 years were really fucking hard. But up to that point, it was probably about 5 years of like, oh, there's some signs. Yeah. Cause he was 83 when he died. So it was like, yeah, there's some signs. He's probably just getting older. And then it was like mentally, he just fell off a cliff. And then his body did, you know, and he got to the point where he didn't even have like the functions that are not consciously ingrained in us, you know, so things like swallowing, breathing, blinking, like he didn't even. So my point is that I've seen a lot of parallels with Biden talking and kind of that early into that 3 years, and it's, you're right, man, it's sad. And if he wasn't probably responsible for more people in prison than any other American, and a total puppet in the military industrial complex, then I would probably feel bad for him, you know?
Yeah.
But it's almost ironic because he's been a puppet for the establishment his whole career, and now he is dragged across the stage as a literal puppet, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You are right.
But I understand the inclination to feel bad. If you look at it at face value and he wasn't Joe Biden, if he was anybody else, well, almost anybody else, a lot of other people, there's a lot of blood-soaked politicians. But you know, if he was just a normal dude, it would be fucking tragic. Like, man, let him go live out his days with his family, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
like, with his dog or whatever, you know.
I think, you know, and to kind of push this back into the 2A thing, I think also, so we don't have anything to worry about Biden. He can't even, I mean, it's sad. I'm saying it's sad. You don't have to say it's, I'm saying it's sad.
Yeah.
Dude can't even formulate a fucking sentence. Can't even read a script, you know, like he struggles. So that man's not drafting any new legislation. He's signing literally anything that comes across his desk.
100% inept.
You know, yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, here's the other thing too. Like news came out this week that he's starting to like curb staffers who have a history of marijuana use.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I mean, like they took the affirmative on the campaign trail. Like, hey, look, this we're going to change the perspective and change some laws on pot, but turn around and they're behaving this way. So I'm not holding my breath. But
Kamala said, well, hold on. Kamala said that she had smoked weed and that she was for legalization, right?
Right.
Wasn't Kamala super pro? Like, obviously, Biden. I don't know if Biden said anything, but I remember Kamala putting like a show on about it. And then obviously having the past of being, you know, a cop and keeping people in prison for longer sentences than she needed to over that shit. But anyway, keep going. Sorry, I just want to make that point.
Well, no. I mean, you're absolutely right. And yes, she did, you know, even after being a fucking district attorney, you know, and literally locking people away for weed.
Yeah.
They curbed completely on that fluff talk, which, you know, it's a campaign. Like Kamala said, whenever she was pressed on that, how hard she was on Biden in the debate, it was a debate.
Yeah.
You know? It was a campaign. Like they didn't ever believe any of that shit, but we can only hope. We can really only hope that there's enough old school Bill Clinton Democrat left in these people that they will not go after firearms. You know what I mean? Like that's the only, I mean, it's not much, it's a stretch, but man, maybe, you know, does that mean we need to just like, oh, let's see what they do? No, fuck that. Get loud. Talk to your legislators. Talk to your representatives. If not, print the shit out of some guns. Never been easier than to do that right now. You know?
Look, for me, man, the answer is obviously we've already kind of talked about it, but the red hat state legislatures, you know, and governors. There's like I think 15-ish states with the supermajority in red, you know, that favors red. So that's 15 states. Right now, the Republicans have never been more motivated to push for states' rights. Never. And so right now, legislatively, this is the time to act, you know, and get these 2A sanctuary or nullification, get the constitutional carry. And then the other answer is, you know, just culturally and being a leader in your community. I talk about a lot, like, don't be a fucking crazy gun guy. Don't be the stereotype, you know, but be like a leader and a good guy, like somebody who's willing to help your neighbor, that's willing to help or whatever, you know, who owns a gun, you know, who's willing to help anytime anyone, you know, has questions about it, you can educate or whatever. So like that's the culture. The culture is the answer in the long term. That's how we get the long term stuff, like the repeal of the NFA and total nullification. But right now, I think, you know, we have to strike while the iron's hot. And what I'm hoping is that it carries into other states' rights, you know, and like the anti-commandeering clause and stuff like that, where we set this major precedent of getting back to how it should be, how it was designed, you know?
Yeah.
I think we have some really motivated fucking boomer cons, and we just got to harness that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Hopefully we can find that avenue, you know? Unfortunately, in order for that to happen, we're going to have to stop calling them fucking boomer cons and buds. Telling them to suck our dicks, you know, like we gotta at some point, you know what I mean? Like rise above that. And I'm talking to myself. I am like, that is something I'm saying to me.
Well, coming as a disaffected conservative, I hate them more than I hate them a lot. I don't know if I hate them more than the left, but I hate them a lot, you know?
Yeah. It's up there.
Yeah.
But let's go into your blog. Like what is the goal? What are you ultimately wanting to see happen
with the blog?
Yes.
Yeah, so the blog and the podcast, it's called Civilian Dissent. It's on Substack, so civiliandissent.substack.com. I'm going to start a website after I get my podcast rolling. Just a little plug there first. My goal is to just bring perspective basically to some cultural issues, or well, that's the main, is the cultural issues, and then education, um, and just maybe the history of gun rights from a civilian perspective, you know, and to marketing to other civilians. We have in the gun community, there is this fetishizing of like former MIL or LE, and there's the hero worship, you know, shit. And I just don't think the civilian perspective is given enough credit, you know, because
Yeah.
let's look at it like a guy in Ranger Battalion did some really cool shit as far as what he had, like gear, shooting, all that stuff. I will say he was a tool for the military industrial complex, but they are looked at as like the experts, right? And they're experts at some stuff, but those guys go to civilians to learn how to shoot. They go to competitive shooters, right? They go to guys who shoot for more than just 5% of their job, because that's all it is in soft. Like they have to know a ton of stuff, so shooting's really not that much. You know, come from Iraq or Afghanistan, come home. I mean, what does he know about holsters or how to carry concealed? You know, he hasn't had to do that. He's been carrying a rifle for 4 years. You know, so the civilian, I think that the civilian experience and perspective just isn't given enough of a voice. And I'm sick of the fucking hero worship too, you know. A lot of those guys, and there's some great former mill guys and some great former or current LE guys that are leaders in the community. But it seems to be the outlier, not the, you know, not the main, or not the norm or whatever.
Right.
So that's the goal, man. Just cultural education. And to, I don't know, like this first article I wrote was about how the NRA is the oldest gun control group in America. You know, the next one I'll be releasing tomorrow is going to be about raising your kids around guns and immersing them in the culture and not making it a taboo, you know,
Right.
and teaching them how to be assets. You know, and that'll be another thing I really want to dive into, is being an asset to your community. You know, getting a gun for a lot of people is like the first time they take on any sort of responsibility, you know, and the way I look at it is, the more guns there are, the less reliant people are on the state. You know, they don't need to call the state to come do violence on their behalf if somebody breaks in their home, you know,
Yeah.
and just leading people to that, you know, that's all it is, man. Ultimately the end goal, I think, if the less state reliance we have, the better. And I think that the Second Amendment is a great vehicle for that.
I do too. And I'm anxiously awaiting to join the ranks,
Yeah.
you know, of the 2A community. I mean, I'm already there. It's just I'm not able to participate, and it fucking blows. Like the, you know, the current chair of the OKLP is talking about doing a clay shooting event, and I'm like, oh, god damn it. I wish I could go do that. That'd be fun. But
Yeah.
no, I bought some pills 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Fucking wild. Anyway, well, Aaron, is there any other plugs that you want to make before we wrap this up?
I mean, check out my Substack, Civilian Dissent, substack.com. I am One Dirty Civilian on Instagram and Twitter, and I will be updating on both of those when the podcast comes out and when I get new articles. So
Awesome,
Yeah,
man.
man.
I will put that in the show notes.
Okay.
And you guys follow Aaron on Twitter. Go find him. What's your Twitter handle currently?
It's one dirty civilian, the number one.
Okay.
So the number one dirty civilian.
Yeah, and you just created that account not too long ago, so it's one of those, kind of smaller follower accounts. But let's change that. Get on that, man. Aaron's, like I said, he's a good friend of mine. And Aaron, you're coming back on.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I know.
Anytime, like
Yeah.
you got an open invitation to come on the show anytime you want.
I appreciate you, man. We can go bash the neocons or something like that. I don't know.
Let's do it. But let's be polite so they'll join us.
Polite. Yeah. That's the line though, right? You gotta show them their ways are not correct while still coercing them to come to your side.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to call them a bitch, but use nice words. You know what I mean? Like that's the way you do it.
I like your way better.
Fuck. All right, man. Well, Aaron, thanks a lot for coming on. I love you, buddy.
Yeah, man. I love you too. I appreciate you having me.
All right, later.
Bye.
All right, there you have it. Once again, thanks a lot to Aaron for coming on. And it's always cool to see somebody when they pick up a passion for something. And Aaron's been passionate about the 2A for a while, but now he's actually like using it. Now he's starting to write. Now he's considering doing a podcast. And I know there's a million Liberty podcasts, but look, man, we get our message out one way or another. And I'm grateful for every single person that picks up a microphone and starts doing it. And Aaron's going to bring a lot of solid information into the content creator space. And I for one, I'm excited about it. And so if you have the ability to, you have the inclination, absolutely go to his Twitter page, give him a follow. It's the number one Dirty Citizen. I'll have it in the show notes page. I'll have it on Twitter. I'll have all the links and everything there for you. But give him a follow, man. If nothing else, just to see what kind of stuff he's coming up with. Also, he's a very approachable and cool guy. As you can tell, like I don't make a habit out of hanging out with assholes. You know what I mean? Aaron is one of those solid people. He was one of my groomsmen in my wedding. Like this is a good dude. So I, for one, am pumped to see what he comes up with and looking forward to that podcast when it comes out. And also that 2A organization here in Oklahoma. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Make it happen, Aaron. All right. So I'm going to shut up, quit rambling. I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. If you're listening to this on the weekday, I hope you have a great week. If you're in the Oklahoma area, just another heads up that our convention is happening March 27th and 28th, and a last minute booking, but an awesome one at that. We got Spike Cohen to come out on the 27th that evening. So if you're in the Oklahoma City area on March 27th, absolutely make some time to come by and see some of your local Liberty enthusiasts and shake the hand of Mr. Spike Cohen himself. So with that, let's just go ahead and go into the song of the day. And I picked this song because I don't think I've played this genre yet. I'm pretty certain. At one point in time, I tried to keep up with all the songs I played, but now I just like kind of spitball it. You know what I mean? And Aaron is like, Aaron brings out this side of me. He's a hip hop head. And I love hip hop, man. I love the underground hip hop. I don't like the shit you hear on the radio, but I do love me some underground hip hop. And this is a throwback to way back when. This is actually LP. LP is, if you guys know who Run the Jewels is, it's Killer Mike and LP. LP's the white dude, right? And he's been around the hip hop scene for a very long time. Has some really, really great tracks. This track is called Deep Space 9mm, and it is off of his album called Fantastic Damage. And it's not hard. I don't know, man. It's weird. Music streaming is everywhere, but it's like Spotify doesn't have everything it has, and it makes me sad, and it makes me wish that like the CD stores were still a thing. I don't know. Kind of getting nostalgic there thinking about that. But anyway, I did find a copy of Deep Space 9mm, and I'm going to let you guys hear it. And if you like it, absolutely check out LP. He's got some great stuff. So with that, here is LP's Deep Space 9mm.
yours to own. Who owns police? Who holds full green, so sand the beach? Blood beach. Dance with the land sharks clutching heat. Ugly. Monks hung halo teach. Hugged by the map with a cable reach. 166 channels lit. The train that animal shit. With a mind's eye redefined. Where's God? Buy car, kick tires. Back in 86 I lived for the four-course artistry. Metal worms took turns showing off colors and shit. Like I invaded a maiden dance ritual. Criminal now. Why the things we find beautiful under my power? Elf and duck flashback. Motherfuckers is like, how? Why haven't we left yet? Dithering sine wave twang for youth and brain management truth. The man is like, you can't touch the crush groove. I live on a lunch table, touch bagels, duck labels. Capital one, heat alive for the Terradome stables. Sign a ruckus. I'd rather be mouth fucked by Nazis unconscious. Calling all bomb threats. The radio reactivated, caress. Under hellified missile defense. Fenced in, better blame it on Fame City grin. Walk with a bag full of kittens. Take me to the river and throw yourself in. In about 4 seconds, the ether will begin to leak. Who wanna hold hands with this sicko malnutrition and soaked in new speed? Dissolve into the syncopated fragments of violence splashed on loose leaves. We can embrace on the business end of my face first. Joe burst the volcano suicide league. Dance with the vinyl monster. Devil in blue sky blind with clean conscience. Save the gesture. Can't save the children, we weren't worth the effort. I'm a caveman. Your mind always frightened and confused me. I watch your spirit box with the blinking lights and think, are those little people trapped in that box? Okay, man. But I do know converted, Mike Digital, 8-bus, Mackie, Avalon, compression combined with 8-step perfected. Dirty words, paralyzed, crumbs, and infection. Infectious, insofar as the ineffectual beg for the lectures. Development arrested. Trapped in a cuckoo's nest, looking for the nexus. If it's wild like that, child firing. Infrared scope in the clutch of a tyrant. New world lullaby. Sirens, stuck migrants, lust and blind violence. It's all bad timing. Getting murked on a tram over Roosevelt Island. You think that's spacey? Deep space 9mm, sun keeps smiling. Resistance on the fringes and such. My generation just sit like dust. Keep up with us and ask what I trust. Tell that story and you're right here, holding my nuts. 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 Resistance on the fringes and such. My generation made friends with the slugs. Thank God for the drugs and drums. Tell us to beat it up right here, hiding from guns. Right here, hiding from guns. Right here, hiding from guns. For the love of God, run.